Welcome everyone. It's Monday, the 4th of August. It's TVP UK FAQ study session. This week we're looking at questions 40, 41 and 42. Mixed bag of questions this week, I'd say. How about we start with question 40? And I'm going to be mean and say, Ludus, could you go first? Because you've written a lot.
No problem, man. Okay. Yeah, well, I have. True. Alright, so the question 40 was, how do you imagine the building processes of the projects? Standard, using prefabricated units, or some other technologies? And my answer is, as always, it would help to know what is the situation. In an established RBE, after building the first city, during the building of the first city. When building the first experimental city, Jacques has explained that currently to answer such a question is premature. Too many variables are involved. Do we have land and resources available? If not, how bad are the shortages? Will TVP have to raise money to get the rest of the materials needed? However, once you start talking about an established system, say a few cities are built, faults within them are fixed, any shortages are taken care of by materials scientists or specialists, then yes, we'll be able to get more practical, efficient, and creative with the solutions. Such as the prefabricated houses or domes, which are packed as discs. Once they are shipped to their destination, an electric current fed to the disc will enable the dome to regain its original shape. Memory materials, extrusions, prefabrication are all options, which will be explored.
Very nice as always, Ludus. I think you're right again to pick up on the time frame, because I didn't really. I just kind of thought, based on what what TVP's documentaries and stuff say, generally we'll probably start off with prefabricated units, hopefully which can be personalized, like today's print your own t-shirts, possibly using things like 3D printing and stuff in the future. And these units would combine in a modular way to allow people to kind of customize the rooms and kind of almost like Sims, plop in and out different bits. But yeah, that is again in a time frame which I have in my head. Obviously, if you get 200 years down the line, then it's a very different question.
And I just got whichever is the most efficient and well tested of the time.
Nice and sweet.
That's a good blanket statement.
Oh, I really fucked up the saying, by the way. It was supposed to be short and sweet. Nice and sweet.
Close enough.
I went for big.
It's kind of the default answer on anything technology-based. Technology-related about it, because people will get so excited about the technology that's shown in the various images and stuff, and in a way they're asking, what does that mean? What are those doing? But actually, we know. That's just an example. We don't really know.
And that's cool. I mean, I think really I just lately started to think about the terms that we use. Because obviously to each other now, the way you describe the situation, which is variables, words like variables, consideration, technology, the times, we, among ourselves, will get it. But then, how do you establish that thought in a newbie's head? Know what I'm saying? Maybe he hasn't heard words like technological curves, or exponential growth, or automation, or the times, or why would they even grasp such a concept that, oh, by the way, in the next 5 years, this question could be very differently answered. All of a sudden, oh, why? How come? So that's something, I don't know how to really propose a solution to it. I'm just curious. I'm fishing for ideas how you guys would tackle such a thing.
Do you mean just instead of talking about specific things, getting across the general concept of contextual, oh, I had the word a second ago.
semantics, maybe.
I don't know. I was thinking basically the concept of things changing with time, and you can't. Is that the concept that you're trying to say, or?
Yes, partly, and then of course I mean, look, I'll say it from sort of today's perspective. Man, that seems like you're going around the question. You're just avoiding the goddamn. Why can't you just answer the question? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like I think when it comes to the future, we don't know a lot. So if we state anything in any certain terms, then it could change in the future. So we've got to say to somebody, we don't know exactly right now, but we've got, like for construction, we've got the way we build things now, but we might find a better idea in the future. So if we've got a better idea, let's use that, as long as it's tested. You know what I mean? And I think it'll also help to get people, the newbies, understanding that we don't know everything. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a lot of learning.
Yeah. It kind of depends on, if you're talking like technology, it depends on how much, because like, we could say, frame it today, say what we could do with the technologies available today, we could do this kind of stuff, and that kind of depends on you having some knowledge on what is actually the advanced stuff that's out there today. Which it can be done. You could also try and, I'm not sure exactly how you would do this, but you could maybe look at history and try and show kind of the trends from the 20s to the 40s to the 60s and how stuff came about and was more appropriate for that time, and you couldn't imagine it in an earlier time.
Like an example would be, say, 3D printing now. Like they're trying to 3D print houses now, whereas, well, the current state is brick and mortar, just the brickies that do it. So in the future it could be 3D printing, but there may be another technology that we don't know about.
And it depends how much time you have for this person. You could take that, and that you can use that kind of specific case to kind of also show how the system today inhibits progress. It depends on how many points you want to make.
No, I see. I was just fishing for any kind of approximation, and you guys are already sort of brainstorming, so it was cool.
Yeah. You kind of did kind of say it there, which is we've known each other for a long time now, that we have, what does Jack call it, an esoteric language? We can understand each other without exactly understanding each other.
Well stated.
And anyway, we need to keep that in mind. I think looking against the actual real questions gives us a bit of that, at least, because that, we hope that they've kind of designed this for anyone could look at it at any time. Just before you see the real question, I don't know what the answer to this is, but notice in your answer, he's talking about the different states of an RBE, and he said, however, once you're talking about an established system. And I know what you mean, but in a really semantical pain in the ass.
Please tear it apart. I really, even when I was typing it, I was already like, I am fucking stuck. I'm just gonna go with this and just run with it. Please, so tear it apart.
I've been thinking about it the whole time since she said it, and I still haven't thought of a good other way of explaining an established RBE.
No, okay, that's fine. So then establish the problem. So what's wrong with my way of using the word established is?
Yeah, just from the way TVP, when you say established system, they're talking about today versus emergent system. And it might be such a so pernickety that it doesn't matter.
But it does. It does. I mean, isn't that why we're coming? We're trying to make this little boxing ring of ideas. You know what I mean? And I get better as you fucking lay down new punches at me, man. So, do it.
Well, do you understand what I'm saying? Just a little.
Okay. So the error that was in my head as I was typing was established means that's it. RBE point has been reached. Every single thing, every single bit on planet Earth is now considered through scientific approach, and you don't even pick a plant unless it's scientifically approved that yes, it warrants to pick this plant. So that's my understanding of my mistake. How how would you propose though to say so just don't use the word established, essentially. Just once you got a few cities up and running, is that essentially?
Or maybe like once it's a global system that will be emergent still.
Yeah.
Or when we're not using money, maybe.
That is not good enough. But the closest is maybe a fully implemented RBE or converted. You know, I don't know. I didn't want to make a big deal out of it, but
you have to. I'm sorry, but you have to. I mean, that's the whole
once
idea.
We've got the core ideas of a resource-based economy, and I don't know. I can't like make that any better at all.
Once we've progressed to a global RBE or something like that, including the progression state, I think. You know, it's also progressed, meaning stopped.
I don't know. Essentially that's the bit. You know, I didn't want to say that we have reached RB because from then on these questions are gone. They're dead. They don't matter. RBE all over the world means, oh yeah, you know those starving kids? No, I don't. What year was that? That's the kind of conversation that's gonna happen. So I was trying to essentially establish a timeline whereby, all right, you got a few examples there. We can go touch, smell, feel, see, and experience the type of experimental cities that exist. And there's a few of them. Oh damn, where are we gonna go? That's the kind of thing, and I didn't know how to express it. That's the bit I was after.
No, I know exactly what you mean. There is that state once the transition is over, but evolution is still going. Trying to think if there might be any resources that could help with this. Is there the TVP timeline? That might do it. Is that still a thing?
You're right.
Do you know where the timeline is? Because it got merged into the main website, didn't it?
I think, I'm not sure, but my question might be hogging precious airtime, so to speak. I mean, if you know what I mean.
I forgot there could be people looking, and I'm just here trying to Google stuff. Okay. Cool. Well, we'll just kind of keep that in mind. Maybe they'll say it in the question. That'll be good. And the answer, sorry. Okay, so shall I read the real answer?
Please.
Okay. TVP FAQ 40. How do you imagine the building processes of the projects? Standard, using prefabricated units, or some other technologies? To achieve worldwide reconstruction, to obtain a very high standard of living for all, large machines are needed that can handle huge building sections, similar to the way ships are built today. Mega machines could construct entire buildings by computerized pre-programmed instructions, reducing construction time considerably. This programming could be readily altered to fit changing conditions. Many of the city's architectural elements can be constructed in dry docks and floated to their destination. They can be moved off the flotsam units by the means of water jets. Water jets require 1 pound of force to move 1 ton of weight. In other words, the completed buildings can be moved from the flotsam units to their foundations, eliminating the necessity of bringing building materials from one construction site. The necessity of bringing building materials for on-site construction. Eventually, these structures will be self-erecting and use components such as shape memory metals. These are materials that can be pre-shaped for such items as contour furniture. They are then flattened for easy shipment and activated electrically to assume their original shape. This process can be applied to portions of the structures as well. With advances in nanotechnology, their performance and durability will be increased considerably towards self-repair and automatic maintenance.
I just have to point out that you said flotsam, I think, instead of flotation.
Oh, Jesus.
Both times.
I'm bad at reading things out. Okay.
Dude, trust me, I'm guilty of this too, so I'm not pointing fingers.
No, I'll just reread that paragraph for the recording when I ever come back to edit it. Many of the city's architectural elements can be constructed in dry docks and floated to their destination. They can be moved off the flotation units by the means of water jets. Water jets require 1 pound of force to move 1 ton of weight. In other words, the completed buildings can be moved from the flotation units to their foundations, eliminating the necessity of bringing building materials for on-site construction. That's better.
Nice.
Who's messaging? Flotation units. Cool. Any questions about that?
I kind of got lost halfway through that. It for some reason it cut my connection off, even though I had full signal. So I don't know what happened.
No.
But did it mention anything it didn't mention anything about the time frame, did it?
No. Not in the categories that we were looking for.
I can only infer. I mean, you can clearly infer that he's talking about all kinds of nanotech. He's talking about mega machines. Again, that's not really anywhere close to the first cities that would be built. At least according to Jacques and Roxanne. Roxanne and Jacques, multiple times have referred to the first ever city will be built with whatever means are available. So yeah. But she did clarify it's very unlikely that mega machines will be used for the first city.
They have said that. Okay. Yeah, it'll probably be more. I would think that it would be more factory line. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't know. It's very hard to say. Of course, depends on lots of variables. But every time Roxanne talks about Jacques' architecture, it's always he builds the machine. He designs the machines that build the stuff. He doesn't build the stuff.
True.
Yeah. In the answer to this question, we are talking a lot further down the line. Nice. Okay. Next question. Number 41. Is there a preliminary cost to this kind of the complex? Is it cheaper or not? I'll start, because my actual answer is pretty terrible, and I can elaborate. So I'm going to take this question to mean, is it cheaper to build a new city than upgrade the current city? And my answer generally is, depending on the cost, and depending on what you're going to class as cost. Depends on the project, and where it is, and the actual environmental and situational variables with that, and also what you're going to kind of consider as cost. From a purely monetary standpoint, it could be either way, possibly. If you're talking about a very brand new city and there is no infrastructure, if they were talking about the very first city, and you wanted to build it with mega machines and flotation devices like we were talking about, that's going to be very expensive from to do a one-off very first city to the highest extent. But when you get into it, you're going to have those kind of resources already available. So the cost will come very, very much down. And of course, you've got to factor in environmental costs to the costs of building a city like today, which would be vastly reduced in RV. And that's my made up.
Mickey, would you like to go next?
Yeah, but I think the aim is to look at how much things cost in the way of time, energy, and resources available, not money. But if you were talking about money, then I would say maybe the same as it costs for Masdar City, which again I have no idea what that cost either.
That's pretty.
or similar, maybe not exactly the same, but similar cost.
No, I was just commenting that you actually referenced Masdar City. That's yeah, I've not heard that word for a long time. I've answered the question in as soon as possible. As soon as people. Oh shit, that's a bad thing. Okay. Yeah, that was the wrong question I was answering. If by this kind of complex a person meant the first experimental city, then I don't know. But Jack had stated in the past that it is much cheaper and more efficient to build new cities than to retrofit the existing ones.
Good answer. Very ambiguous question. So do we have any kind of questions about anything any of us had said?
Is it stated anywhere how much it would cost for the first city? I'm sure I've heard people talk about it before, but I never really listened.
Yep.
Was that yes as in it is?
There is stated, but man, I didn't take it as Bible. I took it as a fleeting kind of expression from Fresco. But yeah, it does exist. There's a reference of somebody asking how much would the first city cost, and Fresco said it would be in hundreds of millions of dollars. That was his response. But I mean, what can you? It depends on all this kind of stuff. When Fresco multiple times he tries to make it clear that the variables that we keep talking about are as follows: population size, is it close to any kind of production, resources, how abundant are the resources, how many of them are available to our needs, all that shit. And then the rest of it, when you don't have something, then you will need money, or you'll need exchange, or you need any other kind of method which will warrant getting those resources. Or the fucking technical personnel which are able to get you a substitute. Just if it makes it any clearer to the people that when we say variables, they are actually referential real things that will take to build a thing, a real thing.
That's cool. That's the kind of information I had. It's more a scale of magnitude rather than an exact cost. Is anything that I've heard? Yeah, I've heard over 100 million. Is the kind of guess. I guess at this time. Reasons behind that number could just be to kind of. Well, they mentioned it in. It was possibly one of those videos that someone posted that they kind of weren't really supposed to post, but Jack kind of said you could post them or not, and it kind of supposedly sounds a bit of an irritation about back in the day when we were working with PJ. But yeah, they kind of mentioned, because Roxanne was saying, look, we should crowdsource this, and Jack just says, no, it's out of reach for crowdsourcing. For the amount of money that they need. So, and that's... Oh, wait, was that the first film?
I remember very well what video you're talking about. I've yet to ask Roxanne about that, but for different reasons.
Hmm. I didn't think there was anything wrong with that film at all. It's just like,
I do.
well, it shouldn't be it shouldn't be like it's just them talking in a room. It's not a. Anyway, I can't remember enough about it anyway. Okay, so we basically have it's a lot of money, but we don't know yet.
Do you want me to read out the official thing?
Can do, yes, please.
Alright. TVP FAQ number 41. Is there a preliminary cost of this kind of complex? Is it cheaper or not? It is far less expensive to build entire, efficient, sustainable cities, even in today's monetary system, because we only design 1/8 of the circular city and reproduce it, and because of the other efficient building methods already mentioned. That's, I don't know, grammatically it seemed the statement was over, and then I fucked it up because the tonation makes it look like the sentence was over, but grammatically it wasn't over. Okay. You're not talking, dude. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just saying that I think at least that answer is cut from a piece of text, not really answering that question. Because it didn't mention any other efficient building methods. It did in the question before. Are we talking about that?
No, actually, I disagree. Yeah, I think it does state about the cost. Well, I mean, not directly. Again, if people did say that, hey, you didn't answer my question, fair enough, maybe they have a point. But he, meaning Fresco, refers to designing only 1/8 of the circular city.
No, yeah,
Meaning
that's
you know.
yeah. No, that's not what I was picking out. I was picking out the very last bit. And because of the other efficient building methods already mentioned. Well, they weren't mentioned in that question.
Oh, well done, well done. No, that's true.
We mentioned in the question before. And if that's what you're talking about, fine. But as a one-off question, what?
I suppose, yeah. Sorry.
I think the couple of the questions from last week, they were a bit, just needed like be more accurate, because I think it was what present-day material technologies can be used in constructing the Venus project, and we were like, is that resource-based economy or the Venus project? Yeah, but anyway, grammatical errors aside, they said it will be less expensive.
If we're not completely bored of these once we get through reading them all, we can almost go back through and try and upgrade the answers and submit them.
Yeah, that's, I mean, I just didn't know if it's worth mentioning now, but yeah, I completely agree. I mean, it's won't cost me, for instance, anything to, to quickly mesh up a text file and just take note of maybe some additions. Because, Biff in the previous, whatever, god damn it, be referential. Okay. Right. Of the other efficient building methods already mentioned. You know what I mean? If you want to go even a step further and be more referential, mentioned in FAQ number 40.
Yeah, that's all it needs, and it's just a little bit nicer.
Okay, so shall we move on to the next, or do you guys have some bright ideas?
I think they answered it pretty well. Great. Question number 42. In your opinion, when will such towns be constructed?
Shall I do it?
If you would like.
Alright. My answer was as soon as people stop asking such questions and ask, what can I do instead? Mean? No. Forward. This statement is not meant to infuriate, but to show the lack of helping hands. We all want a better life. Too few seem to be eager to contribute to the slow process of building a foundation upon which the good life can be built.
And I got when enough values change for our society to realise we get on better through collaboration than competition. So again, very big.
Nice. And to elaborate on my four-word answer, the same as Mick. I said when the crash occurs, meaning when people have been pushed to an edge where they're looking for alternatives, enough people have been pushed to that edge that the change in values which Mick just talked about can occur, and then we can get on with building them.
And just for the sake of balance, I will add, yes, I agree. That's exactly what Frisco keeps mentioning, which is, it's unfortunate, but it seems to be, and then what Aiden said. But also, if enough people learn about the direction before shit goes haywire, such as, oh, I don't know, maybe enough people network together and make the major motion picture happen, or enough people have, I don't know, granddaddies or grandmothers or fathers who own crazy estates and own corporations which own, in turn, materials which are necessary to construct such a project, then it will occur. But again, just like I've stated before, it's got to be yo ass on the line. You got to contribute.
I agree.
Shall I read this one?
If you would. 1 second, let me just mute myself.
Okay. TVP FAQ number 42. In your opinion, when will such towns be constructed? No government has ever advocated social change. The established order tends to perpetuate itself. Unfortunately, it may take an economic breakdown and people becoming disillusioned with their leaders to have them seek an alternative social direction. But if the direction of the Venus Project is not widely known, we will surely continue with our destructive policies. When these social methods will be employed, we cannot say. It is up to us, but depends on what we all can do to bring it about.
Very nice answer. And got across basically what you were saying, Lewis. The addition of the end. Because don't just sit back and wait for the crash and just enjoy it. You gotta work now, otherwise it will never happen when that does occur. Good. I like that answer.
I saw Tomorrowland the other day.
Is it good?
It's a bit Disney with the cheesiness. You know, like the phrase she says at the beginning, the story she says at the beginning comes at the end. But like there was a speech by Hugh Laurie, I posted on Facebook, talking about how like even if you show people that like there's impending doom, like the marketers and like he was saying, who are you going to tell? Even if you could say, we definitely know that you're going to die if you carry on using capitalism. He says, who would you tell in this system? He says, would you tell the politicians? Who would you tell? Because still they want to sell things, so it doesn't make no difference whether we're heading to impending doom. They're just going to wrap it up and sell it to you, and you're going to just keep going. You're going to see the iceberg and sail straight towards it, sort of thing. Which kind of made me think, yeah, it seems that way a lot of the time. That like, no matter if you tell people that all the children, all the families, and everybody they know are going to die and they're going to witness it, they kind of go, oh well, what can we do about it? You know what I mean? And then you go, well, there's a solution. They go, nah, you can't do that. That's impossible. Oh, well, come on, have a look.
But that's interesting, actually. I actually have a real-world example just to wrap up the Hugh Laurie example of there's impending doom. Who are you going to tell? And there's marketers who are going to switch it around, basically say, "What? Global warming? Nah, extended summer. You know, whatever." But there are some amazing examples happening now. For instance, in California, the drought had claimed many of the precious suburban lawns, which are supposed to be green, and they are now being painted, actually painted by people, and apparently the business is booming. Just so long as this gets on the record, you know, while we're talking about the impending doom and whatnot. So yeah, while there is enough money to be made, I mean, it was nice touch that in the video, I personally have seen the report made by AJ, whatever the people are or whatever the channel is, they summed up the video to have the man who was at the time spraying the lawn commenting about, well, I hope they sort the problem out so that we don't even have to do this, but right now, yeah, we're very busy. It was a nice touch of him, you know, but there's money to be made. So yeah, there's a drought. Shut up. It's still green. There's no problem.
Yeah, like let's make things all fake, let's make things fake. I can't describe it. Fakely safe. You know, like a fake version of safe.
Yeah, the illusion of safety.
Yeah, yeah.
No plastic dog and
Yeah.
plastic Christmas tree.
And like a board with like a scenic view on where the sea used to be.
I mean, we're joking, but literally, that's the trends are going exactly in that direction. You know, I mean, how many scientists does it take to fucking convince a world about their doom? Well, apparently, it doesn't matter, because if the percentages are 97 of the world's weather climate scientists telling you that you're fucked, do something about it, and people are, I don't know, I'm gonna go on a beach.
Yeah, football.
Better even. Then again, you know what I mean? Look, there's too much finger pointing. I do realize that my tone reflects hatred or maybe some kind of shaming of people who, I don't know, fucking drink all the time or play video games. Guilty. You know, just spend time shitting around instead of doing real things. But then see, the problem then occurs with my argument, which is, well, what are the real things? Well, you know, some of them exist, but you have to really kind of do the legwork or eye work or ear work or fucking mural work, which is basically open a book. If you can't afford one, look online. There's more than enough examples, free of charge, and permitted internet cost. But look it up, man. Fucking find everything. It's so much stuff in here. Even this FAQ that we're going through, you know, Jacques gives lectures. He gives a very good rundown in 8 minutes if you don't have too long a attention span. Look at it, man. You know, it's 8 minutes. Explains what the resource-based economy is in a nutshell. Should be very easy to grasp. If not, plenty of resources to learn from.
Has anybody seen the documentary Living Utopia? I've only watched half an hour of it. It's subtitled, but I think it's in Spanish. Talking about like I think there's a book on it as well. But and I'm like I say, I'm only halfway through, so I don't know why it ended, and I don't know all the details. But in Spain, like the unions were getting like pushed to one side, they couldn't do anything, so they just kind of like the unions joined together and said, right, okay, just give everybody shit for free, do everything for each other, help each other, like trade shit, and like they were doing free nurseries and free education for people, and it just seemed like it worked. Like they didn't need the politicians in the middle for that, but it ended obviously, so I don't know exactly why, and I've got to watch the rest of it.
Yeah, and your example extends to Greece. Essentially, that there was also, I think, a 10-minute video on why anarchy and what anarchists are doing in Greece, and apparently there's a lot of hate towards all kinds of folks, man. You know, the fucking gay folks, gay meaning homosexual. They're getting attacked left and right, and then anybody who, wait, what was it from? I think Palestinians. I think I might be wrong, but for now I'm going to run with Palestinians when they are refugees from, quite clearly, in Palestine, plenty of disaster to escape from. So when they settle in Greece, settle is a very shaky word. They are also persecuted, and they have no identity, and they have no place to go. So all these other places that they do settle in, and the Greeks do help them settle and help them with food and education, whatever means they have to give it, they're attacked. Those buildings are attacked. They're targeted. And the very cool thing was that the anarchists seem to be kind of like a watchdog for these actions. These people, these fascists. There you go. Now I remembered. Fascists, the actual Nazi party in Greece, are actually now a legal party, or at least of the viewing of the video, which was about 3 weeks ago. They're legal. They're fine to voice their hatred in a manner of speak, as though it was just another, Green Party or a leftist or a righty or whatever. It just happens to be straight up fucking hatred, and yeah, they attack folks, outright, persecute them, and the anarchists, once the Nazis know, the Greek Nazis know that a building or a group or people or a location is protected or watched by anarchists, it seems to deter violent activities in that area. And so it was very interesting. It was just, again, it seems to completely back up Jacques' statements in terms of, if there was a global threat, we would stop all kinds of trades, we would refuse use of money, we would just pull together and use everything in our capacity to save the planet. Since there is no such a thing, here you go. You got national examples of that happening. One in Spain, one in Greece.
And the interesting thing is that it works both ways. In Greece, you get into people who are helping each other, you get into people who are hurting each other. And it depends on your education level, which comes into, if there's enough people out there who know about TVP, know about these things, and you get into that situation, then you can collect more people and hopefully educate the others. If you end up being a small minority of people, and the EDL kicks in or something, then because there's gonna be problems. If there's a crash, it goes both ways. That's what it seems to. I don't know. I'm not a historian, but it seems to be like that. Nazism, proper Nazism in 36, whatever, came out of that giant economic shitstorm, which is post-World War I Germany. It came out of a giant financial crisis, basically. There's a few other factors, we'll forget about them. But that was a huge part in it. And it comes down to education levels at the time as to whether you get swept up in a dictator or you can go another way.
Well stated. I'm really happy that you actually mentioned that. And no, there are other factors, but it really seems to me, as I had the pleasure of listening to the certain history lessons in university in Huddersfield, I was actually told that, yeah, Hitler did promise a lot, but what he promised most was prosperity back to Germany if he wins. So those other factors, sure, they do go in, but mostly it was basically, oh yeah, you got a shit life, I'm gonna fix it up, son. Vote Hitler.
Yeah, it was like, I forgot who I was talking to the other day, and I was talking about when it comes to swift tragedy or bad situations like the floods of 2007 in the UK, you got people inviting Muslims into the house. Like, these people were racist before, and then when there was this sort of situation, they'd let them in the house. But I think I also mentioned that to whoever I was talking to, that when it comes down to the last scraps of food, if it's between you feeding your children and you feeding the neighbour, you're going to feed your children. So.
It's true, and I mean, really, not to bang on about the subject too much, but it was quite interesting when an associate of mine went to Mecca, because he's a Muslim human being, and he went on a pilgrimage, what he called it. So he went there, and he felt at home, and everybody was warm and welcoming, and they all kind of spoke, and they don't speak the language, and he shook his head once he asked if you understood what he meant. Oh, but you do, but you do. It's a very inviting sort of feeling. However, once the water was dealt out and there was a shortage of it, this warmth quickly dissipated. There was pushing, there was pulling, and there was aggression to get the bottle. So it seems it does not matter what your beliefs are or what kind of whoever you are, and if you speak the same language or not. You dehydrated, I'm gonna punch your eye out. And then again, just like Aiden said, if there is some sort of unifying factor, which again, even in that situation, depends on education. It really does. If I got some values which contradict me sharing stuff with you, you can die so long as I live. Basically, the conclusion is, guys, learn about the Venus Project. It's getting too late, and it is getting really quite too late. Help us, goddammit.
Totally agree. Totally agree. All right. Any other off-topic things or anything at all before we cut the broadcast? No. All right. Well, thanks everyone for coming along. Thank you for our one viewer who's been here. I can see you in my bottom right. Don't know who you are, but thank you for watching. And anyone else who's watching on the recording. We will see you next Monday at 8:45 BST.